You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. The interview subject I have coming up for your listening pleasure. It's Eduardo O Gil, and he is the guitarist, or one of the guitarists, but he is the principal songwriter and architect of Los Angeles, actually I'll get this right, from Venezuela via Los Angeles-based outfit Sifting. They're actually one of my favourite bands around at the moment, and the reason for the conversation is to promote the outstanding new album for the band, which will see light of day around the 27th of September 2019. It's called The Infinite Loop. So here he is, Eduardo O Gil. How are you, sir?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. What's been happening in your world apart from this extraordinary album you've just released?
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
No worries. Yeah, what's been doing, mate? You've just been getting ready to go on the promotional trail for it, that sort of thing?
Yeah. We've just been, rehearsing like crazy and, just preparing for tour and, doing promotion, like lots of promotion interviews and, the usual. But, we're really excited with this new album for sure.
Yeah, I think it's your best album, to say the least, actually. And from the perspective that I think it actually hints at bigger and better things from you guys, you know that. And I'm really taken with this song here, Stop Calling Me Liberty. Okay, I think the direction that you've really laid down the gauntlet with that cut there. It's brutal, it's heavy, it's got all of the key elements that I think make your music, but then it's taken it a little bit beyond. And you got to a point, now you've seen my tweet last night where I said I think Metallica fans need to hear this because I can't stand Metallica these days, to be honest, mate. But when I hear music like yours, okay, it's palatable enough for all of these non-metal Metallica fans to actually get into, but at the same time it also still appeals to your core constituency, which is heavy metal fans. And, mate, you've just got it all going on here. I think you've done it, mate. I think you've achieved something near to the perfect song.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's one of our favorite songs for sure.
Tell me about how what the inspiration behind that one there was, man, because there's more killer riffs in that one cut than Metallica has had for 2 decades.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, I wrote this song with former guitarist Richard Garcia, and we just he just put all the riffs he wrote like in a long time. Like we just chose the best ones, and I chose my best melodies too, and we just started working on those, to create like the perfect combination of riffs and melodies. It was pretty crazy doing it because, normally you don't, listen to this kind of melodies, with this kind of riffs. You're just thinking on something like, rah, rah, like some screaming and stuff. But it was pretty challenging, to put like a melody on it. And when the guys listened to it, they were like, wow, dude, this is amazing. This melody, like, that you can just create melodies and this kind of riffs, and it makes it sound so cool and catchy, but at the same time powerful, and it was amazing for sure, the experience of writing this song.
Yeah, mate, it's the riffs just keep coming at you. There's just guitar shrapnel flying all over the place with that one there. And is it really hard for you guys? Okay, so you do the recording, and I get that's not always going to be a band effort, meaning you're not always going to be there at the same time. So it's something else completely different when you are there at the same time, i.e. playing live. I imagine, mate, because there are quite a lot of cuts on this album here that are quite hard. I'm a musician. I don't know whether we spoke about that last time we had a chat, but I was thinking as a bassist how I'd keep up with some of your stuff here, man. There's a lot to remember. There's a lot to get your head around. So are you having to, did you rehearse a lot before you went into the studio, or is it something that you're going to sort of put together from now?
Yeah, we kind of did the album like Dream Theater made their album, like the last one, I think they recorded, like they just created the songs and recorded them and then started rehearsing the songs.
It's easier.
But that's the way we did it, because these songs, they just take so much time to learn and play it perfectly. Like it was really hard to learn these songs, man. Like we took, like, for every song is like almost 3 weeks or 4 weeks to kind of like have it perfectly.
I imagine.
And
Yeah, I can hear that.
yeah,
Yeah, I can hear
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're pretty crazy hard, and it was actually the fifth element, our instrumental, was like an extreme challenge because I got really crazy with that one. I decided to make a song in five entirely
Oh my
and
gosh.
with
Yeah.
and quintuplet feel.
Okay.
Like yeah, so it's quintuplets are not easy to play. Actually,
Mm.
the
No,
thing
they're
with
bloody hard.
quintuplets is you gotta yeah, the margin of error has to be almost zero. If not, you feels like it's a 16th note, with a 32 or something.
Just sounds like a mess. Yeah, to the average person who isn't a musician, it just sounds like a garbled mess. Like I know there's a lot of these teg proc jazz tech prog
Yeah,
jazz metal bands out there, but to me, most of them just sound like bloody noise. I don't care how technical it is. I mean, as technical as I ever want to go is. Like I love jazz, by the way. I'm a massive jazz fan, so I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about in terms of heavy metal. You're about as technical as I want to go, to be quite honest with you. Because you know why? You've found a way to infuse it with melody, and I think a lot of the bands that do what you're talking about, they haven't understood how to marry melody with that technical precision that you're so good at doing. But you've always made it musical with your music. You know
yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole game. That's the whole thing. I mean, like, well, I'm not gonna say anyone, but it's not super hard to create like super hard songs, and super technical songs, and it's not hard. You can just get crazy and start writing hard stuff. But the
Hmm.
hard part is actually making it hard and and enjoyable for people.
Hmm.
Like they can listen to the melodies and they can
That's
actually
correct.
catch the melody and remember it. I think that's a really hard part of being a musician and a composer. I'm a jazz guitar player
Yes,
myself.
that's
I
right. Yeah.
I went I went to school for that, and yeah, I mean, I love the technical stuff, but it's always like the most important thing is creating a melody that catches the attention of the people so they can remember and you can actually sell, because if
Hmm.
not, people won't remember it, and that's how it is.
Tell me about you. Do actually have a member of Dream Theater on this, or former member of Dream Theater, I should say, on the album. So how did that relationship come about? It being the one with Derek Sheridan.
Oh yeah, well, we toured with them, with him twice already. We went and toured with Sons of Apollo. That's
Oh wow, yeah,
he's yeah, that's his
with Mike
actual
Portnoy.
band right now. Yeah, yeah, with Mike Portnoy and Billy Sheehan, Jeff Scott Soto, and Bumblefoot. It's a superhero band. I love it.
It is, yeah.
It was an extreme honor to go and tour with them for sure. And yeah, we met him there, and he's super cool. And he was always like, approaching to us and like saying, "Dude, you guys just really rock. You guys have something special. You guys gotta, work hard." And I mean, he was really cool, and he was always like giving us advice. And yeah, one day we just like, "Hey, dude, you don't want to record something with us?" And he was super cool about it, And same as Billy Sheehan, he actually wanted to produce this new album. He wanted to produce it. He was like, "Hey guys, next album I want to produce it. Just give me a call and stuff." And we
Hmm.
were really excited about it. But he was extremely busy last year, after the tours, and he was touring with all his bands. He has like 40 bands, and we couldn't,
Hmm.
wait for him to record the album. But for sure, hopefully, that's going to happen at some point.
Hmm. Hey, just talking about the way you wrote these songs again. Okay, so did you do everything yourself? Because I know it's very common, and to be honest, it's probably the best way of doing things when you're a creative visionary like you are. But did you do everything yourself? With a drum machine and just put the parts together as best as you heard them, and then present them to the rest of the band either in the studio or during pre-production, and invite input then? Or can you tell me about how you wrote the songs?
Yeah, sure. Well, I to start, I just started like writing in Guitar Pro. I use that software to kind of create stuff that because so I can hear drums. Because honestly, when I create music, I can just write a guitar riff and that's it. I gotta listen, the whole thing. I gotta see the whole picture. I gotta listen to it. So I gotta listen drums, bass, guitar. I need to know what everyone is doing to see if it's actually working for me. So
Yep.
that's why I use Guitar Pro, and also I use it because when I write an album, I usually never write something that I can play just right there,
Mm.
because I like to improve myself always. I always want to be like ahead of myself. I always want to write something that is extremely hard for me to play or impossible, and then I start rehearsing it and practicing like crazy until I get it. I mean,
Yep.
I love to do that. That's my goal with every album. And uh and, and yeah, when I write something super extremely hard, I cannot play it, so I just put it there. So okay, that's how it sounds. If
Mhm.
I played it that fast, okay, awesome. Yeah, so I write everything in there, and then I present it to the band, and they just start creating, putting their input. Like Joey, the drummer, he's an amazing drummer.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes. Yep.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt saying like he's one of the best in LA, and he has so much creativity, and he's extremely crazy. And yeah, he normally like writes all his drums, on top of everything I wrote. And
Mm.
I mean, he sometimes he leaves something that I wrote, like, hey, I like that, so I'm just gonna leave it. But normally, at least 80%, it's his writing and drums. And well, this album, I had Richard writing a lot with me,
Mhm.
and he's really good with riffs and stuff, and like he's really mean with the things he write. And that's cool because he gives me like a riff, and I create a song with it. That's what I do. I'm really good at writing songs and putting melodies and creating structures and hooks and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And he's really good with riffs, so he just kind of like created riffs and gave it to me, and then I presented the song. Hey, here's the song, and they were
Oh
always
yeah.
like super happy, like, wow, dude, this is amazing. You know, like yeah, I feel really great.
Yeah.
Writing with these guys. Yeah.
It sounds like a really cohesive environment if they're trusting you with their riffs. If fellow band members are trusting you with riffs and they want you to put them together, a la George Martin with the Beatles in a fully formed song. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds like it's about the best environment you could possibly have because you've got the benevolent dictatorship with you sitting there and or you being over the cross across everything, which you need to be, you have to be in order for the band to be successful. But at the same time, you're inviting contributions and you're respecting those contributions as well. And I mean, you only have to see with Megadeth. My God, how many guitarists has Dave Mustaine gone through the years? And
Yeah.
you often think to yourself, okay, are they leaving because of the business side of things, or are they leaving, or are they more leaving for the business side of things, or are they more leaving because they're not being heard, they're not got a voice, if you like?
Exactly.
And I think it's got to be a bit of both, right? Probably more toward the latter, because God knows us musicians, mate, we play for nothing, and we more often than not do, don't we? It costs a lot to do this, is what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
musicians, even big musicians in a band that's as globally renowned and famous as Megadeth, the same pressures and the same situations might apply. But man, you might have figured it out there, and as I said, alluded to earlier, man, I think it augurs really well for the future of the band.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it works really well for sure. Yeah, that's a great way to write. Like, it's always good to let your bandmates write, because I can write music and I know it, but I know if I have their minds, you know, in the album too,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
even better, because
Mm.
I can, we can create contrasts and you know more ideas, present more, having more stuff in the menu that we can offer.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's amazing. And well, some of them, they were like, okay, I'm not a songwriter, but I can write a cool riff, and I'll take care of it, and I
Mm.
respect their ideas always. Like, I try to leave their riffs, just like they wrote it. And
Good on you,
I
mate.
just
Yeah.
work, yeah, I just work around it, because I like that. I like having diversity in the writing, because it creates a good vibe between
Mm.
members. and that's how it is. For example, with Joey, he's like, dude, I want to know how to play an instrument, a guitar or something, so I can contribute. I was like, dude, just give me, you know, whatever, like a rhythm or something. And he gave me like a solo that he created once, and I made a huge breakdown. Like there's
Yeah.
a song called Emotionless Shells, and there's like a huge breakdown. Like it's the hardest, one of the hardest parts of the album, and I created like a riff on top of it, and it doesn't sound like a drum solo. It sounds like a breakdown, like a Meshuggah breakdown, and he
Nice.
was he was like extremely excited, like, "Whoa, dude, you created like that, that breakdown with a drum solo." And I was, yeah, dude, that's the whole idea, like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is. I would have never created a breakdown like that. Like, he's a genius, you know. But that's when I say, like, when you unite minds,
Yeah, indeed.
sometimes you
Yeah.
get like really amazing results.
Well, you do have them, and I think when I sent out that tweet last night, it's interesting. I think, isn't it, that I know Tool have produced a great album. So I'm not going to include them in this conversation here, but I think a lot of these existing bands have really gone off the boil. These established bands, when I say existing bands, have gone really off the boil. And another band I'll talk about is Trivium, okay, who I think started really well. Matt Heafy started his career brilliantly, but has, in my view, really stagnated over the last 3 or 4 albums. And I'm hearing some of his work in your playing. But I guess my question for you is that with these bands, and my opinion, of course, is that these bands are going off the boil a little bit. People need to hear your music. I know Chris and the Eclipse guys do a great job, but what do you think it's going to take you guys to the next level? Because really, you're well and truly good enough to be on those massive European festivals and the like. Those ones that happen during their summer. And playing alongside of Bill Hudson and North Tail and all these great guitarists and all these great artists like that. I think you're of that same caliber, mate. So what do you think it's going to take to get you guys to that level?
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I think a little bit of luck, and I think we just need like someone, big enough, willing to play our music in the radio or somewhere, that it could just explode. Because the album is really good, and it could, word of mouth, it could, get big at some point. But to make it explode, we really need like someone in a commercial radio or Sirius XM that actually like the music and starts playing it, so we can get to the charts, and that way we can start booking better tours, bigger tours, and that's how everything starts. Usually.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you. What's the go over there in the States with Sirius? I never understand that, because it's using satellite when we've got the internet. So is that something that's still very prevalent over there? Because we don't even have it here in Australia. And I suppose you didn't have it in Venezuela either.
No, we don't have it in Venezuela at all. Yeah, you gotta have satellite, and you gotta pay like a monthly amount to have it, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can have access to many radio stations, and active rock, and metal, everything, jazz, and it sounds really clear. Like, if compared to normal radio, that everything sounds like extremely compressed, or sometimes it starts like distorting or something. But Sirius XM like almost never distorts. Like, it doesn't. It actually just loses signal for a second and then comes back. But it sounds like extremely deep, and the sound is really good. Like, of course, it has more bandwidth. So.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Big greater bandwidth. I didn't know that. Yeah, it always seemed really odd that in the age of the internet, where we have 5G internet in Australia these days, where you're basically getting faster download and faster upload speeds, more to the point, over the mobile network, or cellular data network, as you guys call it in the States, than you would over terrestrial internet connections that the US is still a country that still has a license for satellite. It just seemed really weird, but I guess there's a lot of money invested in it, and there's economies of scales at play there, which means that it continues to be a viable commercial offering. But mate, just around on the point there, it's a tough one. There's yourselves and there's yourselves and there's a band that I'm interviewing tonight from Belgium or Denmark, sorry, called Black Income, who I think have released, you and them have released 2 of the albums of the year by far and by estimation. But it's just, I don't know how we get around getting people who don't dive deeper than what's on the radio or what has got probably hundreds of millions at this point behind them, a la Metallica, through promotion and the like. Because let's face it, they're a massive corporation these days, bands like Metallica.
Yeah.
And they take up all of the available space on the dock. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're these huge vessels, and you're comparatively speaking, you're a speedboat, but you're smaller than them. But it's just a case of raising. How do we get people to want to dive a bit deeper? You know, and I think if anybody can figure that aspect of it out, then they're going to be a trillionaire almost overnight, because there's so much great music out there, such as yourselves and Black Income, who are producing music that I think is life-affirming. And I think that having a conversation with you and listening to how meaningful the music is for you, this is why I love podcasting, because I love the way people who take the time to dive a bit deeper and find a band like Sifting and then listen to you as the architect of the band's sound, listen to what you've got to say. Mate, this is living. It goes beyond just music. This is what it's like to be alive, being creative and supporting creative types, man. And I just wish that I could take more people on that journey, mate, to be honest. I really do. And it used to be a source of frustration. These days I'm just sort of, well, maybe, what can I say? It's a case of maybe us music fans, we get Sifting and the Black Incomes all to ourselves. Maybe we do. Maybe that's just the lot that we all have. And I just hope people out there who really get into music support you guys by turning up to shows and purchasing product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How's Los Angeles treating you, mate? Because I've mentioned Venezuela there a couple of times, and for people who don't know, who are listening, you originally do come from Venezuela, and mate, a bit like Bill Hudson, who came from Brazil to the US, you're really making a mark for yourself there. But mate, is it still a lot different to home, or have you sort of acclimatized?
Yeah, I mean, already acclimatized a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I love it here. The only thing is, I miss my family there and friends. But in Venezuela, there's almost no one left. Like, of my friends, they're all over around the world. They're not there anymore. It's horrible. Just my dad there. Yeah,
I feel for you guys over there, mate. I mean, I get all of the news sources here, CNN, Fox, whoever it might be, the whole lot. And I think what's going on in Venezuela, for all of those, excuse me for going on a tangent political rant here, but for any of these idiots out there who support socialism and communism, you've lived through some of those changes and your family's been affected by it. And I can't stand the way people in countries like North America, Canada, the United States, that basically white people from Australia, and they're advocating for communism and socialism, yet they don't know how bloody hard it is for average people and families to get by.
Yeah, they don't have an idea.
It's what ridiculous. It is. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's somebody like yourself who's lived through it, and you got family members. That's probably in your back in your mind a lot. And I feel for you that way, mate. It's tough. Yet we've got bloody idiot university students that aren't even old enough to probably wipe their bums properly, their asses properly. Yet they're yelling at the rest of society about capitalism as greedy and it's bad, and therefore it's the fault of capitalism. All of the world's ills can be attributed to, therefore, communism. It's like, how did we get to that point?
Yeah. I mean, communism is socialism imperfection. If you're a socialist country and you do it perfectly, then you become a communism. A communist country. So it's dangerous, man. It's a dangerous path to go.
Oh, it's extremely dangerous, mate. We're seeing it here with them locking down. What they do in Australia, mate, is that they pick these pet projects like climate change or what have you, the Adani mine that we've got up here in Queensland, and they say, all right, we're going to shut down Brisbane CBD. That's the local city here, the major city here. And, of course, people who are trying to go to work can't get to work because they're protesting and gluing themselves to zebra crossings. But not just that. Emergency services can't get through to people who need help. I mean, that's at a basic level, mate. They've really got to start thinking about that, and don't. You might have a view, and it might be completely ill-informed as it is if you're a communist or a socialist, because of all of the raft of information we have out there about the disaster that communism and socialism ultimately leads to. But it's just, again, I'm going to drill this thing back to music. What happened to being creative? You know, if you want to protest and you want to have your voice being heard, okay, and you haven't lived enough life yet to probably cross-check a lot of your sources and to basically question, even if it does come from an academic source, what it is being motivated by. How about you park all of that for a moment and just dive into your creativity? Because I do believe a lot of these people are sensitive souls. Therefore, they've got a creative bent. But they're using their creativity, if you could call it that, and it's a fairly long bow to draw, I want to say it this way, but they're using it for so destructive means, aren't they? And then I listen to somebody like yourself who's come from a country who's going through enormous turmoil because of it, and look at the success that you are just by being creative. You know, you're a guiding light and an example for some of these people who get really frustrated with the world and don't actually pay attention to their good graces and the fortune that they've got being born in a country like the United States or Australia. You've had to move to the United States to do what you're doing because you probably wouldn't have been given an opportunity to do that in Venezuela. And I think people like yourself are really good examples of how to lead your life.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a long bow to draw, as I say, mate, but I think it's an important one because...
oh, yeah, it is.
You know, it's creativity and bringing music to people ultimately makes people happy. And the more happy people there are in the world, there is people wanting to do wanton destruction.
Exactly. Yeah, the more creativity is, there is less destruction will be, because when people is creative, they should stop being lazy and 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 destructive, because that's how it is. You're feeling happy when you get creative. You just start doing something amazing and you just enjoy it. But so much people working on horrible jobs nowadays.
Yes.
Most people, like, they don't use their creativity for nothing. They're just looking at their Instagram, looking how other people is being creative. Oh, well, sometimes, and that's it. That's a more creative thing they do in the day. Like, they don't, So that's why there's so much destruction, killings, and everything in this world, because people is not being creative. That's
Agreed.
That's the source of life.
Yeah,
sure.
I 100% agree with you. Very articulate way of putting it, mate. It is. It's exactly right. So I guess it does allude to the broader question, and I might have asked this on the last time we had a chat, but I'm really interested to hear the answer to the response again if I did ask it before, mate. But, you could throw your hands up and say, fuck the world, I don't want to participate in this anymore, and go on a wanton destructive path, as I guess a lot of us can, but you don't. You mine your creativity. But you've got drive and you've got enthusiasm for being alive and creating this sort of music. So where do you think that comes from?
The creativity?
Yeah.
Wow, I think it's something divine, man. Sometimes it's arrogant thinking that that creativity is just, comes from you. I think it comes from something greater than us. I don't want to say any God or anything, but I think there's something bigger, than us. That's, just, it's like a source of energy that, fills us with all this great, creativity, and we can just, download it anytime we want. We just decide to do it. And because I feel it when I write my music, sometimes I just feel like I'm remembering it. I'm not even writing it. I'm just remembering something that's coming to me, like, in an instant. Sometimes it writes itself, like a song like Enough from this album. It just wrote itself. It was amazing. It was something, wow. Like, I was like, oh my God, this was weird. Like, I felt like I was, possessed by, the creativity, the ghost of creativity, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, it just went out like that. And it's a very special song for me in the album. Like, if you ask me, like, what song do you think that, could take you, like, to the, to the ultimate point of, making it or something, I would say Enough is the most commercial song of the album. It's not the more proggy or anything, but it has so much, a powerful message, and musician and music is so powerful. Like
Yeah.
I never get tired of it, and I think it's that way. Sometimes, I remember actually in "Stop Calling Me Liberty" when I wrote that interlude, the clean part, that is so amazing. It just came to me like at 3:30 a.m. I was just
Yes.
writing, and I was like, okay, I always, because when I write music, I'm a big fan of symphonic music, and
Okay.
I always listen to symphonies and all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of people tells me, hey, you guys are like Dream Theater, like to recall melodies and stuff, but that actually comes from classical music. Uh, so,
Yes.
but yeah, like all that orchestration and stuff, and I remember writing like this part. I was like, okay, I need a clean part, a beautiful part, and it just came to me like in 15 minutes. I wrote that amazing melody, my favorite of the album, actually, the guitar harmony in there, and in "Stop Calling Me Liberty," and it
Okay.
was so amazing, dude, that I just started crying and everything. I was like, wow, like that
That's
was
great. That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, I mean, it's, I mean, I know it's not too, it's really soft, but that's what happened. I just started crying when I wrote it because I felt like something bigger than me just wrote that part and gave
Hmm.
it to me as a present to fucking kill it in this world. And I was like, all right, let's kill it. Amazing. Like, this is how it is. And yeah, dude, I think it's a great. I think if we can try to concentrate and try to connect with that upper being, something like great stuff can you can write really great stuff and create
Hmm.
really great stuff. It's just a thing of learning how to connect, letting that inner connect
Yeah.
with your hands and your instrument or whatever you're using to create.
I can't remember which podcast I was listening to. It might have been one of the Joe Rogan episodes, and his guest was saying, and I don't know how true this is, by the way, but I'm only going to sort of go off my memory of what they were talking about in the conversation. But Keith Richards and the Stones, he might still do it, but he certainly used to, according to the interview subject, record himself at night as he was sleeping. Okay, because he wanted to pick up what he was maybe, I don't know whether he was trying to pick up of some sort of weird paranormal activity in the room or what have you. But anyway, what he ended up
Jeez.
hearing, what he ended up hearing was he was either humming tunes or he was singing melodies, something. Anyway, he was basically writing songs in his sleep. And one of the
Wow.
songs that, according to this interview subject, that Keith says came from one of these sessions was "Satisfaction." Now, again, I don't know how true that story is, but isn't that really interesting that you say that? I think you definitely, we're all connected to the divine, the God source, but some people have a clearer channel of communication, as I believe you do, to that divine source, because I think you're a really good example of somebody like Keith is. You are doing exactly what you've been put on this earth to do. You talked about it before. So many people are just in shit jobs. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They're on antidepressants. They drink too much. They take all sorts of shitty drugs that just destroy their bodies. And really, it's all escapism. None of it
Yeah.
really is about mining for creativity and being connected to something which is going to be creative and bring joy to people like what you do. So, yeah, it's a really interesting comment that you make there. And I know I haven't written songs in years, but I know when I was writing songs, I thought I'd basically wake up and my mind would be basically blank apart from, the caffeine hit from the coffee that I'd have. But I'd pick up the bass of the guitar and I'd start writing a song and I'd think, where is this bloody coming from? I mean,
I know.
it's not a cognitive thing. This is coming from somewhere else. This is not a process like I do a lot of writing in journalism where you got to work at that. The words occasionally flow through you and you're lucky if you get a paragraph like that and you just, bit like what you're saying, you just feel so connected to source when that happens that you just think it's wonderful. But man, writing a song, that's a bit of a different thing, man, because that's you've got a tool which is a guitar or an instrument, and mate, you're realizing what's in your creative let's call it your creative aura.
Yeah,
You're bringing it in from your creative aura.
exactly.
You know. So what's
Yeah.
so what's happening with touring and stuff, mate? Have you got some tours lined up?
Well, right now we just stopped working with our booking agent. We're trying to look for a bigger one, and well, we're just working on it. It's a matter of time when we align some tours, and we will keep everyone informed in our social media for sure whenever that starts happening.
Well, I think, needless to say, mate, if you guys can ever come down to Australia, I'd appreciate it. I know it's hard.
Oh
But,
yeah, that's something we really want to do. I have tons of friends there in Australia, so I'm really looking forward to going there.
how did you get a lot of mates down here, mate? Is that just fans reaching out to you online or fellow musicians?
Well, for starters, like a lot of my Venezuelan friends ended up going there to Australia, and they just moved there, and then like in the last album, Not From Here, we got a good amount of fans in Australia. We because Clips Records, they have really good contacts there, and
Yep.
they just grew. They did a pretty good job with the last album in Australia, and people it's been really excited from there. They always send in messages and commenting. So yeah, we're really looking forward to going there and play.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We tend to pick up on some bands and we're very massive supporters. And I think a lot of the heavy metal, if I can call it that, that's come out of Australia over the last 15 years or so, like Dead Letter Circus, Cog, some of these bands you might have heard of. I'm not talking about like the Amity Affliction and Parkway Drive and stuff, all that metalcore and deathcore stuff. Good stuff, but I think the prog metal stuff, if you don't mind me putting you into that very broad and kind of nondescriptive genre tag, but a lot of Australians do like that, is my point. Through
Yeah.
some of these bands that I've mentioned, like Dead Letter Circus and the like band, we really do get into it. And there's a lot of bands here that do sound like spiritual cousins to what you're doing, man. So it doesn't surprise me at all that a lot of Aussies have reached out. And man, I just hope we can make a tour happen for you so they can come down here and share the joy.
Hell yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, that'll happen for sure.
Yeah. Mate, for people listening who want to get in touch with you, I know you're a very easy guy to talk to, man. I want to thank you very much for the conversation, and I know you've got a great online presence, but just for their awareness levels, mate, how can they get in touch with you, and on what social channels are you
on? Just check out our website, siftingofficial.com, and you can always contact us through Instagram or Facebook. We're always active in our Facebook Messenger. Like if you have any questions about the album or pre-orders or whatever, just write us there. And most times it's the label replying, but sometimes we can reply to, and if we're there, if we see it first. And Instagram, we totally manage our Instagram ourselves. So
cool.
If you guys want to contact us, just shoot us a message there and comment us. It's always nice to get comments and listen to your words, like what you think about the album or the songs. Is always really amazing for us, so we know we're doing a good job.
We're doing a great job, brother. Good luck with everything. I really hope this is the album that does for you what I think you so richly deserve. Okay, I think this is I've got two of your albums now. I've got this one and the last one, Not From Here, and mate, they're just superb quality, great execution, great riffs, great vocal, great drumming. The whole package is there with you guys, man. I just really hope that with this album here, The Infinite Loop, this new one for 2019, that it tips you over the edge and puts you into the spotlight. I think hopefully there's a band or an artist like a Megadeth or somebody like that who does pick you up and take you out on them, man, because you will give them a serious run for their money.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully someone notices. That's all it takes. Someone like with the big guns, notices, and that's it. That's all it takes.
Indeed, yeah. Mate, that's it. You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name, it's Andrew Mackay-Smith. The interview subject you just heard from then is Eduardo O Gil from the Venezuela via Los Angeles-based rock and metal outfit, Sifting. Thanks so much for listening.